it's Matt here, and welcome to a very quick July update, or July vlog. It's currently a very sweltering 24 degrees Celsius, or 75 Fahrenheit. And I've said Fahrenheit because tomorrow, which is Tuesday the 12th, looking at my computer's clock, is the day I set off for Tomstock 2020, which is the Modeller's Life podcast annual gathering. Now it is 2 years late, which is why it's still Tomstock 2020, not Tomstock 2022. But 2 years late, 2 years better, or whatever the catchphrase is now. So there's been a reasonable amount of stuff since last vlog in terms of stuff that's been happening. So primarily, that I've had a week off in Cornwall. Those of you who follow my Facebook page will have seen that. I've posted a few photos. I did post some videos about the sea coming into Port Thurmond on the Friday? Would have been the Friday, yeah. And it was very choppy. They actually put the harbour gate in, for lack of a better term, a little barrier to help protect it. Which is something we'd never seen before during our previous holiday, so it's something interesting. And then, ironically, as I was coming, after I came back from Cornwall, we'd obviously caught COVID while we were down there, and it only transpired we caught COVID after we came back here and did some tests, which is not the best things. I didn't really have any symptoms until Sunday. Saturday, a bit of a sore throat. Other than that, perfectly fine. Just felt maybe a bit of a cold, maybe it was a bit dry, maybe I wasn't drinking enough, even though I kind of suspected I was. So obviously that was a bit of an issue. And then because I got COVID, I missed off, obviously I had to have a week off work, which wasn't very pleasant. Sunday was awful. I was very hot, very sweaty. I spent pretty much the entire afternoon in bed. And then Monday, Tuesday was very hazy, and pretty much it wasn't until about Thursday, Friday I was kind of in a normal routine. Again, it was really bad. It's the first time I've had COVID, so I've managed over 2 years without it, so yay. But it's just wasn't very pleasant, and obviously I missed out on a few things. I missed out on a tour of the Acme Whistle Factory, as part of the Key to the City event, which again is something I've been doing and sharing photos on Facebook. And it also meant I missed out my trip to London on the Saturday, when I was going to go watch Hamilton in the theatre, which is going to be the Saturday night show, or Saturday evening show I should say. So I've missed that. I've had to, some people I know have gone, because we were originally going to go all together, so they went using half the tickets I'd bought, and the other half of tickets have been kicked back for me to use at a later time, I think in October, because I sort of said at that point the temperatures will start to drop again because we're approaching winter, but it's still reasonably warm enough outside and blah blah blah. And the other thing I've missed is that I missed off going to the Acton London Transport Museum, because they had an open day on the Saturday as well, so it was going to be quite a good thing. I was going to see, Acton Depot. I was going to see all the Lego stuff which I'd got there, because that was one of the primary reasons to go. And the primary reason to go to that show was because this is the Lego Southern UK Railways Town Hall for the display, which was something I agreed to build. Now this is pretty much complete. It's not 100% complete. There's still some of the barriers to add in and some foliage to add in onto the muddy areas. Other than that, it is complete. It does have a partial interior with a partial floor. Obviously the roof space is very much this is not supposed to be seen, so it's not detailed. But yeah, it's got a reasonably nice viewing of it. It's not 100% perfect, but it'll do. You're not going to see the roof. You're only going to see the floor and the bits of the sides, and through the doors as well, which are the new 1 by 6 by 6 frame with the doors, or reasonably new I should say. I think the doors are new this year, but it's not a new frame. But yeah, this has taken a lot of the tan parts out of my inventory. I'm not quite happy with the columns. The columns really should be flat. This should probably be a little thicker. And the columns should just be another brick higher, and they shouldn't have these slopes. But this in a way is a kind of a nice framing. You get a nice sort of almost arch effect with this. So to my mind it looks better. Really we could almost do with a curved bit that goes that way. So maybe I should have replaced this with some snot bricks that face out, and then used the curved piece and use that there. Really you could do with a piece that's that way, so it curves up, or otherwise it'd be sort of going out then curving back in, which doesn't look very nice. It's not a natural flow, which is what I've done. So yeah, there's quite a lot of bits in here. You've got the little figures from the game series. You've got some upside down ice cream cones. You've got boomerangs in tan. You've got the baguettes. You've got the horns, which came off the Tauntaun, I believe, was the first use for that. And obviously you've got the lion pieces here, and you've got the shield for the town hall crest or whatever. But yeah, it's a reasonably not nice, easy build. There's nothing too complex about it. To be just, it's been a bit of an effort. I've drilled out the minifigure heads, so I can actually use these spear parts to actually create the proper lamp. But yeah, you know, it's reasonably good. Again, nothing too complex about it. It just looks a nice model. And yeah, so that was going to be going off to the LSUR group at Acton. So it was in-person delivery, and I've got a few other bits to hand over as well. That's not happened, again because of COVID. But yeah, that's a nice model. I'll probably be shipping that out tomorrow, first thing, so I can get other stuff sorted. And then really, primarily what I've also been doing is just sorting through bits and pieces. As you can see, my workbench is a bit of a mess at the moment. Some of that's to do with orders that are coming that haven't been sorted. Some of that's to do with just me dismantling stuff or acquiring collections of parts which haven't then been sorted properly. Some of it's like orders. So I've ordered bits and I've just left them off on the side because, you know, laziness. Effectively, so really I could have organised it. And the other thing I've been working on, and again this has been posted to Facebook, is the Pennsylvania Rarity one. I've been focusing on the tender. I do have bits for the chassis, and I have been working on bits of the chassis, but I really need to work out the loco tender connection, which will probably be using the Studley Trains magnet, and then obviously I'll be using a custom power connector between the tender and the engine. I'll probably be doing all the electrical bits in the tender because it's got such that huge cavernous space, for lack of a better term. And I do have the tender as it currently is here. So this is as it currently is. You can sort of see it's quite a long tender. This is actually to 1:48 true scale. So I am not shrinking this. In actual fact, this actually is possibly a stud too short. In terms of length, I've actually shrunk it a stud at this end here, which is the loco end. You can tell, and you won't be able to tell that, but you can sort of tell it because this is actually a curved end here. So this is actually where your water tank is. So this bit's your water tank. About here, above the first wheel of the bogie, is actually where it sort of ramps up slightly for the coal section, which is this front bit here. Also, you've got a nice coal slope here. And obviously it was all mechanically fed with the mechanical stoker, so obviously a lot of this it'll be a fully loaded tender full of coal, and you won't be able to see it. I have got some more parts in here on the little assembly, but primarily I've built this to test how it would fit together. And the other thing I really needed to test was the flexibility of the bogies and how they turn. Now there is a bit of an issue with the model. Just put this down here for a second so I can actually see what I'm doing. And the reason for that is that I've actually made the skirts slightly too deep. Now this is something that Tony Sava did. It's something that Nonsense Wars did on their T1. And the reason I've done it as well, I've done it slightly differently. This is actually done to the you have the skirt, and the bogie should really be outside framed, but the problem is if I make the bogie outside framed, the amount of rotation I could get on that bogie would be next to nothing. Now the way I've done this is that the skirts are slightly deeper than they should be. Those skirts in reality should probably be just above where the knob on these Brick Tracks wheels actually is. But the reason I've done this is because this then hides most of the wheels, which would be something that might happen in reality anyway. And it also means then that I can actually, by using panels, I can actually do it so that it rotates around like so. Now obviously this is probably still going to require, so if I can obviously pan that way and pan that way. Obviously this still might require R104. I doubt it will work on anything less than R104. I'm hoping it will work on R104, especially through turnouts. But this is effectively a really big tender for a really big loco. It shouldn't really run on anything less than R104. And to be honest with you, it probably shouldn't run anything really below about 150, because that would actually be a more true to scale radius for it to use. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time finagling how the panels on the skirts fit together, what pieces to use, because originally I was just using the 1x2x2 1 2/3 to hold the panels on. That wasn't enough, the panels kept falling off, so I've replaced it with the standard wide version, and everything's a lot more stable. It's less prone to just randomly popping off, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Really need to colour correct all this blue and the grey and a few other bits, and I really need to sort the top out and make sure I've redesigned the top so it's actually to scale. When I've designed digitally, I've not fully realised the design. There's still a few bits missing, such as the air reservoirs on top of the tank, on top of the water tank, the tank fillers, the train phone equipment. That's a prominent feature on the T1 tender, and it's not on mine yet. The ladders are missing. There is a handrail that's supposed to be on the corners of the tender, and that is probably going to be missed off, in all honesty. It's very hard to do. It is something I could do. I could drill out some holes, put in some brick arms, monopods, and put some flex tube in, call it a day, and it'll look the part, but it wouldn't be really a Lego solution. And to be honest with you, I'm trying to maintain as much of a Lego solution as possible with the T1. Now obviously the electronics are something separate. It's going to have a custom battery box, or battery I should say. It's going to have a custom electronics because I want sound, and the sound itself is probably going to run in the region of about $400 to $450, depending on what to go for. Because obviously what I'll probably do is go via the air wire and something route. Unfortunately, air wire itself is getting expensive. Anything using electronics is getting more expensive and rarer to come by. That's just a matter of fact. It's the economy we live in. You know, COVID scarcities. Suddenly everyone wants to do electronics. Everyone's trying to make new electronics and using up all the chips. So obviously anything that's new, your smartphone, washing machine, you name it, is probably going to use stuff that Model Railways would like to use, but Model Railways is such a small piece of the pie that they do, they're not really that interested, and they'd sooner serve, you know, Samsung making washing machines, or smart TVs, or, you know, Fujitsu making photocopiers, you know, that sort of stuff, rather than, you know, somebody trying to make a, you know, a bit of a circuit board so that a little model train will have some lights on. It's just the nature of the business, in terms of who gets what and priority. So with that said, that's pretty much it for news and progress for what I've got. Obviously, if there is anything new, it will probably be on the Facebook page. But yeah, so that's it for now. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. If there's anything you want to know, do drop a comment in the comment box, and hopefully I'll answer it while I'm out and about. So that's it for me, and see you soon. And while I remember, you'll see the first one has been released of the videos about model railways, or model railroads I should say, at the Sutton Coldfield Model Railway Show. in April this year. So the first one about San Clemente has gone up. I'm currently doing a bit of finagling on the others, so they'll probably get uploaded after I come back from America. But for now, you've got the San Clemente video, and there'll be a couple of others in that series. And I don't know the names off the top of my head, but they'll be interesting nonetheless. So again, just a little extra for you.